Hey guys, this is Cadma here from Bitten Apple TV, back here at 5 Points Festival, and I am here with Kahn. I was supposed to interview you before, and only because I remember hearing the storyline, and I loved Heavenly Blues, and I was like, that sounds super badass. But for my audience who obviously want to hear more about your synopsis, please break it down for them.
Yeah, so Heavenly Blues is a book I did with Bruno Hidalgo. It was published by Scout Comics. Last year I was here with some of the issues. Now the story is done. It's complete. It's fully out in one nice book. And Heavenly Blues is about the souls of the greatest thieves in hell teaming up to pull the ultimate heist on heaven. The two main characters are Isaiah Jefferson, a Chicago bank robber from the 1930s, and Erin Foley, a preteen scam artist who tried to escape the Salem witch trials. And they're recruited by an angel to pull a mysterious job and have to put together a team of hell's finest.
Salem witch trials, the greatest robber. What made you pick these people? Now I'm just curious.
So really, because they're all dead, I have all of the history to pull from. So it's definitely trying to make kind of like an all-star thief team and pull from the coolest, most recognizable archetypes. So you got your like Wild West outlaws, feudal era ninjas, ancient Egyptian tomb raiders. So I loved kind of your Great Depression crime stories, and then I loved kind of like Scarlet Letter and and that was very inspired by the Salem witch trials. So trying to bring something like that into this, because I knew I wanted to have like someone who died as a kid and then spent centuries in the afterlife and play with that dichotomy. So I thought the Salem witch trials would be a really interesting kind of setting and place for them to come from to kind of build an interesting character in the afterlife.
Yeah, no, I think if I was in the afterlife and that's where I was burned at the stake, I'd take a couple things personal. It'd make you a very interesting character. So in regards to Heavenly Blues, and I have to ask this of every writer, who's your favorite character? It's never the main character. It's never usually the lead character. Not very often. But who would you say is your personal favorite character in that book?
He doesn't get introduced until the second half of the book, but I had a lot of fun writing the main villain of the book, the Archangel Uriel, who's one of the main villains who they're tasked with stealing something from. And he ended up being like this big, burly, brawler with like a Scottish brogue, like real kind of a very kind of like just like this over the top like grizzled like angel, like war veteran angel. So we ended up having a lot of energy and ended up being a lot of fun to write. And especially had a lot of fun writing his accent.
Okay, I was curious. Everyone has a favorite. Now in regards to, I mean, they're all your hellish thieves, your best thieves that are out there. But what kind of tribulations would you say, I guess, is the most difficult thing for them to have to overcome just so they can pull off this heist?
I think they're pulling off the impossible. It's like they're still wrestling with the failures that define them in life, the things they wanted to accomplish, the dreams they had, who they thought they were, and they're still reckoning with the failures they had in life. And now that they kind of have this ultimate second chance, if they can really come together and become the people they were meant to be in life, but finally become them in death.
Oh my God, that's so deep. Now we have here the exclusive book that you're releasing here for the 5 Points. Tell the synopsis for this story as well.
So this is Griffin, Galaxy's Most Wanted, which is published by SBI Press. It's also Starburns Press. Art is again by Bruno Hidalgo, and lettering is by Sal Cipriano, who was walking around the convention hall here today. And Griffin, it's a new sci-fi book. It's a genderqueer, anti-fascist space opera about an insane captain and their crusade to take down a fascist human empire with the power of science.
Where did this idea come from? I love it, but I need to know where it came from.
So this is partially based off the big resurgence we're seeing in kind of crew of a spaceship go on adventures. You have like Firefly, but now you have your Mass Effect games, new Star Trek shows, The Orville, Legends of Tomorrow, Doctor Who revival, even the Black Mirror's doing a Star Trek episode. So it's kind of a sense of like, that's a great playground I want to do it in. And also, world's been kind of not great the last few years. So I feel like one of the core premise of Star Trek is humanity is good and is capable of doing good things. And I'm not really so sure about that. So I kind of wanted to play with that kind of person who still very much believes in advancement and progress and the power of science, but has had what used to be like faith in humanity just gone. So just almost, a look at someone that truly does believe humanity being out in the galaxy is terrible for every other planet. And really trying to, treat science in science fiction not so much the science as an excuse to have cool things appear, though there certainly is plenty of that, but also discuss science in itself. Like, what does science mean? What is the philosophy of science and scientific advancement and progress? And what place does it have in society? And how does it drive society? So I wanted to do science fiction about science and what it means, which is why even the name of the ship they fly around is the USS Al-Haytham, which is named for Ibn al-Haytham, an 11th century Islamic mathematician who created the scientific method.
I like the way you write. I really do, because you're putting history, science fiction, you're putting everything together, and I can tell you do thorough research, and that's very much appreciated. Which character would you say in Griffin is actually more like you?
I'd probably say the one that's maybe a little more like me is probably maybe the first officer, Telika, like a little sarcastic, has strong feelings and passions about stuff, but still sometimes has to be dragged along by someone a little more reckless. And what's nice is that they all kind of have a different sense of humor. Like, this is probably pretentious to say, but I definitely hope people walk away from Griffin. Hopefully it makes them laugh and makes them think. But I'd say this is one where Griffin is my favorite character to write. They are so completely unlike any character I've ever written. Just they don't have to answer the call of the plot. They drag the plot kicking and screaming behind them.
Okay, now the synopsis for the story as well.
Shaman is about the titular shaman, a necromancer, and his teenage sorceress daughter, bringing dead superheroes and villains back to life, and really just going on the kookiest and craziest supernatural adventures I can throw at him.
Okay, so how does this happen? Were they bored one night? Was it just family night? And they were like, you know what we should do? We should bring back superheroes and villains back from the dead and watch them fight. Like, is that supposed to be like their live version of like battles?
That's what they do. They go on. They don't go on missions. They go on adventures. So it's kind of a, it's explained in the book that there's a bit of a higher power that Shaman kind of takes marching orders from. Like, they're told who they need to bring back, and then there's always someone who would rather the dead stay dead. Sometimes it is the dead who would rather stay dead, and so it's always some kind of wild adventure for them to finish their mission and figure out what purpose is for. Like, one issue, they have to bring Babe Ruth back to life to recast The Curse of the Bambino after the actual green monster trapped in Fenway Park gets loose.
It must be so much fun just to talk to you on the norm, because I feel like your head is filled with so much information and cool stuff that I could talk to you for hours.
I mean, I spend a fair amount of time talking to myself, and I usually have fun.
You're super awesome. I see you seem to have a running theme with bringing back the dead. So now I have to ask, outside of your books.
Right, like, what's up with that?
Yes, and I think that's super cool.
Boy, is that going to be something for a therapist to dig into one day? There's clearly something under the hood going on there, but I can't put an explicit word to it.
Not yet.
Yes. I have unhealthy views about death. Like, that much is obvious.
Oh, honey, you wouldn't be the only one. What I want to ask you is, outside of your books, what celebrity would you bring back, or famous person that you're like, that would be cool to have them back and just meet them?
I would love to bring Chris Farley back.
Yeah.
Fucking big man in a little coat. I was in high school. I always had like a little comedy club, and in high school, and one of the ones you did, like, how I played like the best of Chris Farley SNL like all the time. So I'm gonna go with Chris Farley. I want Chris Farley back.
Oh my God, I think that's an excellent answer. That is super awesome. And what I want to also ask you is, what kind of history or mythology do you like to read as well? Because obviously it shows in your writing.
So I definitely grew up with Greek mythology the most. That was like, Greek mythology was like my bedtime stories. Like,
Favorite god or goddess?
they're all such terrible, terrible people. I'm gonna say Wonder Woman. Wonder Woman's my favorite Greek god or goddess.
He just totally skipped over Princess Diana. Very smooth.
Even Artemis was like just turning people like, I mean, it's like, I'm gonna turn you into a deer now. Run.
She's having a bad day. That's all. She's just misunderstood.
I get it. I do think Apollo and Artemis are really fun. But you know, I feel like Greek mythology is like kind of drilled into the deep, deep gray matter. So I definitely want to learn. There's definitely a lot more I want to learn about. You know, the last few years I've learned a lot more about Norse mythology, and you know, trying to get back to a little. You know, would love to know more about Hindu pantheons, Shinto pantheons, and so Greek and Norse. I got a lot of Greek, some good amount of Norse, but there's still a lot more to learn and study.
Yeah, there's quite a bit, and the more you do research, the more you realize, oh God, there's more. Yeah. Are there any other upcoming projects that we can look forward to?
So Griffin is continuing to come out. It's going to be 12 chapters long. The first 2 are currently out on Comixology. Chapter 3 comes out on June 5th. Which is, as of 5 Points Festival, this coming Wednesday. And you know what? And the trade paperback for that will be coming out next year. So it will all be. So once Griffin is complete, it will be collected into another handy book like Heavenly Blues and Shaman. There is definitely some very cool, very fun stuff in the works, but nothing I'm able to publicly talk about right now.
Okay, so in that case, how do we keep up with you so we can make sure we stay in touch?
Best place to follow me is on Twitter at @BenTheCahn, or on Instagram at @BenTheCahn.
That is awesome. I like that. Thank you so much. I'm looking forward. You guys make sure you stay in touch. Go into Comixology. Let's see what's going on in Griffin, because I need to know how this all ends. Make sure you guys check out Heavenly Blues as well as Shaman, and I need to know about Babe Ruth. I need to know about all that and who else they're bringing back from the dead. Thank you so much, Ben.
My pleasure. Thank you so much for talking.
Bye.